Inspiring episode of Women Who Lead. I'm your host, Teresa Palacios Smith, Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer for Home Services of America. And today we're bringing you a very special installment as we continue to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. I'm excited to introduce our theme today, and that's timeless Latina leaders. And these extraordinary women that you see in front of us have paved the way for future generations in real estate and beyond, each leading with a deep commitment to service, integrity, and the empowerment of others. Our guests today are not only past and future presidents of NAHREP, the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, but have also shaped and are shaping the organization's history and helping transform the industry with their vision and leadership. First, we have Rebecca Gallardo. Rebecca became the second woman to serve as NAHREP National President and continues to be an influential figure in real estate. Rebecca is with Terra Real Estate, which happens to be a Home Services of America owned company located in the greater Silicon Valley of San Jose, California. And by the way, this is the company that our own CEO, Gino Bafari, founded. Rebecca is a 32-year-old veteran of the real estate industry and a top producer in Silicon Valley. Beyond real estate, she also has served as a two-term commissioner, and chairman of the Santa Clara County Planning Commission, where she oversaw land use and planning decisions. Rebecca also co-founded and advisor to the Latina Coalition of Silicon Valley and has been recognized by the Silicon Valley Business Journal as Woman of Influence for significant contributions to the community. And I'm so excited to hear about her insights into leadership and legacy because, Rebecca, I have admired you for so many years because you, Francis Martinez Myers, and Carmen Mercado were who I looked up to as I wanted to become a NAHREP national leader. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate being here with you and such auspicious leaders in the room.
Oh my God, absolutely. Next, I'm thrilled to introduce Nuria Rivera. She's the immediate past president of NAHREP and currently holds the chair position of CBOG. She's also an award-winning business owner who is truly redefining leadership. Nuria's work and her mission to inspire lasting change for employers, employees, clients, and business leaders are nothing short of remarkable. She's the owner of Novation Title, a multi-million-dollar company that's earned countless awards since its inception. And we're going to hear a little bit more about her story of how she even started the company and all that, but behind it in a few minutes. Nuria is also a highly sought-after keynote speaker, having taken the stage over 30 times, including a memorable appearance at TEDx, which is very cool, Nuria. And on top of that, her personal circle includes dignitaries like Tony Robbins, who she secured as the final keynote speaker at this year's NAHREP at Latitude event. What a coup, Nuria. I was there. Thank you for being on the show.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure, ladies. We're going to have a great talk today.
We really are. And next is, I'm excited about Oralia Herrera. She is a visionary leader and the NAHREP president-elect for 2025. I love the way that sounds. Oralia has been instrumental in helping all her clients achieve wealth building through real estate and inspired many others to invest in their futures. Born in Durango, Mexico, Oralia migrated to the U.S. She had already, I think at the age of 8, and by 21, she had already begun her career in real estate. At just 25, she became the broker owner of C21 TK Realty. She also has been deeply involved in the community, co-founding the NAHREP Chicago North Chapter and serving on numerous boards, including the Illinois Department of Professional Regulation and the DuPage Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And her leadership has earned her numerous accolades, but I think you are part of that prestigious Centurion Hall of Fame Award, which is the top 1% of Century 21 agents nationwide. So again, welcome, Oralia, to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. I'm honored to share this space with you.
Well,
Excited to be here.
I love that that you all embody timeless leaders. And I love that title because it's about all of that you do and the impact that you have, not just in the industry, but on others. And I think it's really important to get started, to learn a little bit about your backgrounds, your immigrant stories, and how NAHREP, because I think that's the tie that connects us all, really influenced all of us. So let's get started. So I really always ask every single participant on the show the thing that ties us, not just NAHREP, but real estate. So how did you get into real estate? And I'm going to start with you, Rebecca.
Okay. Well, I started in real estate because of my parents. When I was about 20 years old, I began to do property management for my parents. And it was layman's property management because I didn't actually have any experience in real estate per se. But they started having some challenges with their tenants. And so then I said, well, let me study up on this and let me see what I can do. So I started in property management probably about 40 years ago. And that was my beginning in real estate. And then I decided to go work for a real estate broker in Los Gatos and learn more. And my parents had invested in real estate. And I said, you know, this is what I'm going to do when I grow up. And they were my role models. So that's how I fell into real estate and have been doing it since. So I've got 32 years of practicing now.
So let me understand this. Your parents were realtors themselves?
No, my parents actually invested in real estate and I became their property manager in my early 20s. And so that's how I fell into real estate. So it wasn't like I decided to go to college for it per se. I just decided that because they owned multiple properties and because I started doing property management, that I would enter into real estate.
That's very interesting. Of course, Oralia, you know all about investments and property management and all of that because you have actually advised so many of your own clients on investing in real estate. So how'd you get involved?
So my story is, the truth is that my landlord, Tom Kostopoulos, is the reason why I'm in real estate. He rented an apartment to my family when we came from Mexico. And he was an inspiration to me. He went to sell his building and I translated a conversation between him and my mother, and where he was offering the property to her. It was a 4-unit apartment building. And my mother did not have full cash, as she understood that that was the only way to buy, right? In our country, financing was not available. So she understood that she had to purchase that property flat out, right, in cash. Somebody else bought it. We understood the concept. And going forward, I asked Tom Kostopoulos, TK, as I call him for short, to teach me how to become a property owner or how to get involved in real estate. And the rest is history. I became his agent, then his business partner, the managing broker, and when he retired, the sole owner of Century 21 TK.
That is a beautiful story, how one person inspired others to do what they have done, and you've done that for others as well. So thank you for sharing that. Nuria, I know you're on the title side of real estate. How did you get involved with that?
Yeah, so my dad used to be a real estate agent a few years back when you didn't have to have a job to get a loan, which got us in the market. But his title company needed a Spanish-speaking escrow officer. And so that's actually how I got my foot in the door, was because of my dad, and got licensed and then just built from there.
Oh, that's very cool. So he needed someone to really help him with his business as well. And so you were able to help not only him, but anyone else that came along, because I
Yeah,
know Salt Lake City has
a
a
lot of
big
our
Latino
Latino
community. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. So I know that each of you has a beautiful immigrant story, Latino story of your family, your parents. For you, Oralia, you're actually first generation immigrant. Share with us that heritage and upbringing that you have, and how's that influenced your own journey, both in real estate and in leadership?
Absolutely. I believe that, that heritage of ours, that culture that unites us in so many ways, I've transcended and created those relationships with my own clients, right? Making them feel at home, making them feel comfortable. And we Spanglish sometimes, we staying grounded on where I came from, never forgetting that, I came from a small little town in Mexico, and that the land of opportunities here, helping others achieve that dream, making sure that nobody gets that everybody gets understood and represented in a way that is in their means and in their language has been phenomenal. So
So
staying true to
your parents came across, they wanted to come for better opportunities here.
absolutely, they paid the price for us to be here, right? They left everything behind. They left their homes, their businesses, and I came at the age of 8. It was me and 5 siblings. So you could just imagine, the exodus that my parents decided to come without speaking the language and to conquer the American dream. So I think that marks you, right?
I think it does. And I think, I look at people today, I'm having my kitchen redone, and the guys who are doing my kitchen are from Kosovo. And they have the same beautiful story that we have. You know what I mean? It's 3 brothers, and they share about their father and their parents coming to America, leaving everything behind. They were refugees. And I think, wow, we all have that lining of America and how we all have that same story of triumph and really overcoming in this opportunity of wonderful the U.S. that brings us all together and with the ability of coming out and becoming better, right? And Rebecca, I know your parents were migrant, or you have that migrant farming background, correct? Tell me more
Absolutely.
about that, because I think that's beautiful too.
So, I know my demographics because I did a study, and I know that both grandparents on both sides of my family come from Chihuahua, Mexico. My mom was born in Texas. My father was a Californian, but when they came to California in a young age, they were farm workers. They worked in the fields, and that's the way that they survived. And in fact, they both had to leave school at around the 8th grade in order to survive, in order to keep the family afloat. And so they weren't able to have a high school education or anything further than that. But we were very involved in the farm worker movement as a family growing up. I mean, I was just a child at that time, really, but I understood what it meant working in the local church, because Cesar Chavez actually was born here in San Jose, and his house was right across the street from the church where I grew up. So it was something that was very personal for me in terms of the immigrant story, my own story, but also for others who are struggling and trying to be safe from different environments, not just in the area, not just in Silicon Valley because of affordability, and not just in the country, but in the world.
It's amazing how that little area that Gina always called was the fruit bowl of America became the Silicon Valley of America, right? The tech world of
Oh, yeah.
America. But the migrant farmers that came to help to grow and to also, they would migrate up and down the coast to be able to provide us that food that we nourish every single day. I think that's a beautiful story. And the fact that you are right across from Cesar Chavez, that's pretty cool, Rebecca. It really is. Nuria,
That's
I
right.
know I got a chance to meet your parents during your installation. I love them. They're so beautiful. So tell me their story. Tell me your immigrant background as well.
Yeah, thank you. They really are wonderful people. So Rebecca, my dad's also from Chihuahua and all his family. And so, yeah, Mexico. And then my mom's side of the family, a lot of them immigrated to Mexico, but they're all from Spain. And so, Catalunya area. And then when we were, I was the age of 11, we immigrated to the United States. And just like a lot of people, right, didn't know the language or the culture and immersed ourselves into it and learned so many things. But I will say that I am very grateful that I have my Latino background, and it is something that NAHREP reconnected me with initially when we got to the Utah, the United States, and in our specific town, was this little town back then called American Fork, Utah, and there were not a lot of Latinos. And so accidentally, I didn't mean to, but I kind of disconnected from my roots because I was just surrounded by non-Hispanic people, only my family dynamic. And so it is something that NAHREP really brought back to my heart and to my life. And I'm forever grateful for that, to know that there's a lot more Hispanic people across the country. And we do have a lot more Latinos in Utah now, thank goodness. But yes, it was an extraordinary experience for sure.
So Nuria, where were you born?
I was born in Mexico,
So were you in Chihuahua or what part of Mexico?
Sonora, which is the
Sonora.
state next door. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. So I did not know that about you. I thought you were born in the US. So that's very interesting and very unique that you came. And you are not unique in the experiences that you talk about because that's what happened to me. Also, like I grew up in Mississippi. Imagine you thought you were Salt Lake City. We were like loners too in a city. So I grew up in Mississippi. So I didn't get too much exposure to other Latinos. And that's why I got involved with the chamber or Oralia, the Hispanic chamber here, and then NAHREP eventually. It brought me back to my roots and really reestablished that beautiful connection I had with that heritage that we're all proud of. And I agree with you, NAHREP really does a beautiful job in doing that. And Rebecca, we're going to talk about NAHREP a little bit because I think this organization is something that really has not just grown from its inception, but really catapulted into another level. And you came into the helm being the second Latina ever to lead the organization during probably the most difficult time in real estate. That's 2008. Any of us that have been in real estate know that that was when the downfall of the real estate industry came into play. So how did that national role help you, prepare you, and also help you now to aspire into the political arena that you're involved with and continue to get into?
Well, I can honestly tell you this. I'm from Alum Rock in San Jose. It's the East Side community where it's the predominant Latino community in San Jose and maybe even Silicon Valley as a whole. But I never believed that my volunteerism was going to lead me to become the chairman of the board for the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. I remember when it was happening, I felt very humbled, but I also felt like this is an important position to inspire others and inspire leadership. And so I think you can see that by my trajectory that volunteerism does pay off. What did I learn from NAHREP? I always say this to people, and I share this with people who are interested in learning, and that is that NAHREP taught me diplomacy. And what do I mean by that? Well, I was in the room, I met presidents. I was in the room with presidents and vice presidents of the major banking institutions, the US Treasurer, who was Latina at that time. I was in the room with folks like that. And so I just remember being around that cadre of leadership from this country. And I recognized that no matter what was going on in the room, or no matter how difficult or challenging things were, everybody stayed above board. Nobody made anything personal. Nobody got, I call it emotional intelligence, right? Nobody got emotional. Everybody maintained their status quo and stayed above board. And they were it was very corporate, and it was very much directed at the issue or the concern that we had on the table. And so if there's anything that NAHREP gave me and has helped me with is understanding diplomacy, understanding how to speak specifically to what's important and not getting personal about things. The other thing that I would say is that it taught me how to network. I grew in my networking, and I understood how to make friends and influence people, so to speak. And so I'm proud to say that I have a lot of wonderful friends across the country. And I have a lot of wonderful relationships as a result of that. And so, if you're running for office or you're taking an appointment as in a planning commissioner like I did, then it really sometimes is not just what you know, but most importantly, who you know, because that's how appointments are made. You have to get connected and you have to be involved. And that's really what NAHREP does for people when they engage in the leadership, whether it's at the local level or whether it's upwards into the national platform.
Well, you gave a lot of great information there and advice for anyone that's watching of the impact that being involved has done for you and also for others, because I can say each one of us probably can say ditto to your comments, right? And how, you learn to meet all these dignitaries and have to realize, hey, they're just like us. We just need to keep it all business, right? Because that's really when it comes down to, but also you have the emotional part of NAHREP, which is part of what makes us so unique. Oralia, I know that you have really helped so many business people, your clients get into real estate and investing. And I'm really interested in hearing what advice, because I think personally, a lot of people are nervous about doing that because they don't know. And you've got people now that are doing their third and fourth purchases. They're all coming back to you because you've helped them build their businesses. So, what advice would you give an inspiring investor looking to follow your guidance?
You know, I always say that we have to invest smart, not fast. It's a small journey, right? I believe that finding the right property that makes financial sense for your budget, right? Minimizing the risk involved in acquiring and knowing that your step into your residual income, diversifying your portfolio is also important. And sometimes I always tell my client, it starts with you owning your first little home, right? This home can become your first investment. If you're in it for a couple of years, whether you buy a multiplex, live in one and rent the other, whether it be a townhouse, nobody said investing had to be big at the beginning. So start small baby steps, I always call them, and make sure that we grow together, right? That you're looking forward into that new investment. So whatever it be, your single family home or your first investment, and that you find the right people that are going to guide you every step of the way. That when you come to them and you say, if you're a real estate agent, I want to buy this next property, that they sit down with you, that they look at your numbers, that they really look at your why. Why are you doing this? And helping you achieve those goals. And sometimes they may say, we're not ready. We need to wait another year. And that would be the right thing to do. So making sure that your investments are solid and that you have the right guidance
And I
would be
like
key.
that because I think what happened in 2008, Rebecca, there were a lot of people that bought and bought and bought and a lot of investment and were never able to cover that should there be an emergency, situation. So I love the fact that you're saying be smart, take baby steps, and you are the one that actually walks them through. And a lot of those agents that are really focused on helping investors through the ROI, what they need to know, what they need to, the how you write it off, all that, which I think is really important. And thank you for doing that because that's really built so many businesses that have helped so many of us be able to go on to college. I know that's what helped me when I was also in that space. Nuria, I love your story because I've heard it and I knew you before. I knew you before you were a business owner and how you were also involved, which I thought was such an interesting thing, was the Stanford Latino initiative, which I want to talk a little bit about because I know that was something that you were recommended by NAHREP because I think you have to be recommended by it or to get involved with it. You have to have that, that someone saying, hey, she's perfect for it. And how did NAHREP bring you together and inspired you to launch your business in an unlikely market in a very dominated field in your state?
Yeah. So it's been a wild ride, but you're right. I started as an employee back in the day, and you and I both served as presidents, although I was the local chapter president, you were a national president, right? So you've also been a huge inspiration to me, and I have the utmost respect for Oralia and Rebecca here on the call too. And but and I just have to say real quick, like seeing women like you that are doing these incredible things. Like I learned from Oralia all the time. I learned from you all the time of just different things that you each are doing that I get so inspired by. But definitely, so that same year, 2015, I decided to launch my own title company to change the way things had been done as I'd seen them, to spice them up a little bit, bring a little bit of like Latina flavor, into a very almost boring process. And so it just made me very excited and very happy. And I had so much support from all of our people, especially at NAHREP. I felt so grateful to have that because it felt scary, so that was just an incredible part of my journey. And it so happened that same year I was also that chapter Salt Lake president. So just really building those relationships locally and nationally were very important. and they happened so fluid for me. And then, yes, in one of our board of directors meetings, eventually I got called to become a chapter coach. I did a good job as a chapter leader. I got called in to be a chapter coach, and then eventually I got called in to be invited to the national board. And we were having a national board meeting. I believe it was a retreat one year in Mark Madrid, which Teresa, you just met him, in September, you did a panel with him. He spoke about LBAN. And this is a program that is meant for Latino entrepreneurs to help them scale and grow their businesses, that is put on in partnership with Stanford. Right in your area, Rebecca. And perhaps you've been a part of this too, if you know about it. But he talked a little bit about it. He said, you need an invite and you need to be qualified. And I applied, and talk about it, connections, right? Rebecca, you talked about this, how important it is who you know. And applied and got into the program, and it was so incredible. I never really got to go to the university, right? Like I had to pay my way through school. I worked 3 jobs to be able to afford to go to the Salt Lake Community College. And so I didn't get, although I'm obsessed with education and learning, I didn't get the academic studies that I perhaps would have wished for. And so being able to go through this program with LBAN and even go to Stanford and learn from professors at that level was just mind-blowing and super educational. And so it taught me so much in such a different way about business, and I'm forever grateful for that. And definitely that would not have happened without me being in the right place at the right time, with Mark bringing it up. And I think all of us ladies can speak to that, of how many times we have served, just giving back our time. Each and every one of you, and I included, have served for years and years to contribute, to give back to the community and our heritage through NAHREP and other resources. And to see what comes back to you without expecting it is just absolutely incredible, and so grateful for every single one of those opportunities.
It gave you those building blocks too to succeed in your business, because what it does is create those understanding of how to scale. Because I remember you coming back from one of your sessions and talking about, and I was like, my God, this is Nuria talking about how to do this. And I know you learned a lot from that experience. So again, you have to realize, because I know that we're all kind of like talking about, oh, it is NAHREP, okay? These all experiences are with people, right, that we met through that NAHREP connection, because Mark Madrid talking about it, giving that opportunity for whoever wanted to go through it to get involved, was a connection that we all had through that organization, which I really want to talk a little bit more about, Rebecca, because I know that one of the advantages that both she and I had was we did get to meet and spend a lot of time with Ernie Reyes Jr., who is the co-founder of NAHREP. I know that you, Oralia and Nuria, did not get a chance to meet him, but he had an incredible vision with Gary, and his legacy, the what he wanted to do with his organization, the impact that he had on us. And what do you believe, Rebecca, was his lasting influence, not just on you, but also on the industry and the organization? And on Gary, right?
Right. Well, when I met Ernie, he came to San Jose to meet with me, and I was a local president of, quote unquote, the Hispanic Association of Real Estate Professionals. It had been in existence for probably 20 years. And so when he came in and he talked about his background, and he talked about his farm worker background, his pastoral leadership in his family, he was so humble. And, as Ernie and Gary would say, I drank the Kool-Aid. So I was like, all right, this is a game changer. We're going to do NAHREP. And so, you know, he inspired me. And I think that's what each of us can do as well in terms of what we share with others and what we're transparent about, right? To be able to inspire more leaders in NAHREP and through NAHREP. But I would say that one of the things that really stands apart as far as Ernie is that he really believed in political power, and he believed that we needed to be at the table. And for him, it translated both from economic power and political power in terms of the Latino community. He was very grassroots because he grew up in the farm worker mentality and the union. And so he believed that power grew from the bottom up. And, you know, it wasn't top down, it was bottom up. And he would say that time and again. And so, you know, he was just an inspiration. And honestly, at the end of the day, sometimes it feels like, you know, NAHREP is called the familia, right? And a familia, so to speak. And it really is, because we're all interconnected in one way or another, just the way I just learned right now, right? That Nuria's family is from the same area in Mexico that my family is from, right? And so when we think about it, we have probably a lot in common. But I think one of the things that resonates for me in terms of Ernie and his impact is that he was a strategist. I mean, when he and Gary came to town, it was about getting something accomplished. They had a vision, and they started, you know, with just a few chapters across the country, and look at where it's at now. Look at where that vision took us, and look at his footprint on the organization. And so I think the political part of it has grown in terms of the leadership development for a lot of the members, and the economic power has grown as well. And we see that day to day as volunteers and as part of the organization.
And I didn't know that about Ernie, the fact that he had that migrant farmer background, because that truly is, if you look at Cesar Chavez and the impact he had as a person that was just working the farms and how it became a movement, he saw that happen. And I think that was what really tied NAHREP, the organization, and the impact that it could have, because he knew that the Latino community was going to be a force to be reckoned with even way back when. And I think, of course, I always say Ernie was the heart of the organization, because he was all heart, little guy, just powerful person. And then Gary is definitely the brains. He's just a strategic thinker, and he has taken this organization to a whole nother level. And I know that looking at how he's transformed Latitude and Avance and all these different additions that he keeps adding to the picture, that people go, well, what's that about? But it all makes sense. It all makes sense when it comes down to it. So how has his vision influenced the way you shape your own strategies, Nuria and Oralia, and long-term vision of, you know, in the real estate industry and your own personal goals? So like, because for me, he's really, I'm thinking too little, right? So I'll start with you, Nuria, and then I'll move to Oralia.
Gary has been a huge gift for me. You know, he's been one man in my life that I feel has taught me so much and has really supported my growth. When I was a coach, when I was invited to the coaches and some of those conversations, because my market wasn't as maybe big as the others, although I tripled the size compared to others, you know, it was still technically small. And so, but he saw something in me. And my name came up, and he said, no, like, I want to give her a chance. And so those leaders, I feel, are some of the best, right? That they see something in you that perhaps you haven't seen in yourself yet. And so he gave me that opportunity. And I have to say that becoming the national president last year, one of the sweetest parts of it has been that I've gotten to know Gary at that high level and understanding and watching him run this organization at behind the scenes has been extraordinary. I've learned so much from him, and I'm very impressed. I was even more surprised of how he leads and how he strategizes and how he does things. So he consistently continues to teach me on even how to set up a meeting, let everyone brainstorm. I've taken a lot of what I've learned in NAHREP and implemented it into my business because it's taught me so much. And definitely that visionary aspect You know, that very creative side that he has, I really relate to. I feel like I'm very artistic that way. And so his vision is endless, you know. It's also, I feel like it's limitless. And one thing I will say of why NAHREP has grown and expanded to the ways it has absolutely been because of this man's vision and ideas. And he's so forward thinking. He's so forward thinking. He continues to innovate when a lot of people don't. And that will always set him apart. That's what's caused NAHREP to grow in all these different sectors. And so definitely a huge inspiration on many things, from operations all the way to that creative, visionary, you know, just painting that picture. I've learned so much from him, and I'm very grateful to have Gary as a mentor, as someone I very much admire.
I couldn't agree with you more. Oralia, how about you?
I did everything that Nuria said, but for me, it's his ability to blend culture with business, advocacy, how he manages to put everything and just truly open the doors for those that are less represented in every field, right? Seeing him uplift the community and our members, and just being in close proximity to his thinking and seeing him has made me realize or encourage me to think beyond my immediate goals, right? How do I want to transcend? What do I want to leave? What advocacy, what impact am I creating in my sphere of influence with my clients, with my family, and beyond, right? What is it that I want to be remembered by, right? Seeing how much he gives unconditionally, right? He just goes in and pours it out to at the national board, at the chapter board, with our meetings and everything else. He's always thinking big. He's such a visionary and humble. He's so humble. Once, you know, I was very intimidated, you guys. I must say that at the beginning, when I first met him and at the meetings, I just didn't even want to be in his proximity. Like, let me sit at the other end of the table. This gentleman was so intimidating, such a genius. And knowing the Gary, the human inside, has been one of the biggest blessings I've had. Um, his ability to break through things and just continue to create. I think he's inspired me in many ways.
You know,
In
you
many,
are,
many.
Oralia, you're not alone on the intimidation part, because I think we've all felt that, right? You're like, oh, I don't know if I want to sit too much close to him. I'm scared. You know, that's really so true. But I will tell you, the one thing that I admire the most about Gary is that, you know, no matter what level he's at, if I call him or text him, he always responds. He always responds, "Hey, Gary, I need your help," or "Can I get a recommendation?" Or "Are you able to, you know, get on a call with me regarding this?" And he shows up. He doesn't send someone else. He shows up. He's on the call. He responds, and he'll say, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to have so and so follow up with you on this one." But he's the one that is on that call, and he's the one, and that's why he's been so successful. And I also agree with, you know, Nuria and Rebecca. One of the things I think he saw is that experiences, you know, not all of us learn from our experiences in the past, right? He is one of those that learns from experience in the past and realizes there's got to be another way to do things. And I think the 2008 fall of our market in the lending side, because he always was a lender, you know, and then the REO that came up after all of that, he thought, I don't ever really want to be in a position where NAHREP is in a situation where we're struggling. So let's expand the organization so that has revenue and streams and opportunities to continue doing business no matter what happens. And I think diversifying is his biggest thing. I'm a NAHREP 10 coach, and having that understanding of the NAHREP 10 principles is really what I think, just that itself blows my mind, right? So all of the things that he does and how you really have to diversify. All right, let's talk about women leaders, because obviously you all are women leaders and you all inspire others who have inspired. I hear it all the time. Oh, Nuria inspired me to become a chapter president. And, so did Sarah and Daisy and all the other women that have led the organization. For you, for me, Rebecca, you were my inspiration. Let's talk about female mentors and leaders in your life, because it does not have to just be female, because I know men have inspired me as well. How have they shaped the way you lead today, and who would you like to call out? And I'll start with you, Nuria.
I feel like that's a hard one because I feel like there's so many people, but I've been thinking about this, and um, definitely it comes back to my family. So my mother is a huge inspiration to me, and she's so sweet and kind, and she walks into a room and you just feel her energy. And she's taught me so much of that, right? Kindness and love, and just unconditionally. And then I have my grandma, who's she's no longer with us. Sadly, I lost her last year, but she really taught me authenticity and how to have fun and enjoy life. And, she just hear music. She was such an artist, and just get up and dance and just really enjoy the fruits of it. And then my aunt, who is an entrepreneur, and she really just taught me about business, and she was a great example for me on how to create something special and that whole side of things. So I feel like I'm a combination of a lot of my family, and of course there's a lot of people outside of my family, but I just felt called to share that today, that is my family has been, the women in my family have been very inspirational to me, and big leaders in their own way.
It starts at home. And I will tell you, your mother has a beautiful aura. I don't know if you're a person that sees that. I'm an aura person. I can feel somebody's aura, and she has that beautiful spirit that you just mentioned. So I love that. Thank you for sharing. Rebecca, how about you?
Well, I would have to say the same thing. It was really my parents. My mother, as a Latina woman, she was actually a businesswoman. She worked at Bank of America for about 25 years, um, taking a leave of absence every 5 years to have another child and going back when she wanted. Thankfully, they took her right back. But she had consejos. Our parents have advices, and those are like uh, those are things that are not rule breaking things. You listen to what they say, and you humble yourself, and you pay attention to their lead. So I just remember growing up, she was a banker, so she taught me, Rebecca, your credit is everything. That is who you are in this country. And I was like, okay, mom. So being where having practiced real estate for 32 years, obviously at the end of the day, if you don't have your credit together, then you don't have the ability to find a good loan and buy a home, or to acquire more homes, as Oralia does, right, with her investors. But at the end of the day, predominantly it was my mother. My father's the one that got me into politics. He used to discuss the newspaper at the dinner table, and se me pegó. It stuck to my ribs, and that's why I became a politician. There's one person in town, though, a lady by the name of Blanca Alvarado. She was the first Latina city councilwoman in the city of San Jose. She was also the first county supervisor. She's still a dear friend of mine and has always been my mentor, and she gave me the opportunity to serve on the planning commission. And I just remember she was honest with me, and she said, my staff person said that you might not have enough background. But she said, but I know you're intelligent. She said, and I know that you're ethical, and I know you're going to do the right thing. And so she gave me that opportunity to serve on the planning commission, which was an incredible experience. It was all volunteer, but I learned, it was like getting a bachelor's degree in land use, essentially, without having to go to school and take exams, right? That's part of what volunteerism does for you. It does educate you, and you learn things that you never thought you would learn, but it happens. At the end of the day, you benefit from whatever you put in, you get back in different ways. And you can't always spell that out specifically, right? But I have to admit that beyond Latina women, there were organizations like the Mexican American League of Defense and Education Fund. I went to their leadership program that's really when I just narrowed in on my goals for my life. And that's when I really said, okay, yes, I'm doing real estate, and I got active and did what I needed to do to get my license. So, different kinds of organizations. The Mexican American Political Association taught me parliamentary procedures, and I just learned that and used it at board meetings at NAHREP, and they were impressed, and I didn't even know it was impressive. I just learned it from home. Right. But, predominantly, I would say my mother, Blanca Alvarado, and then I have a cadre of soldier women around me, the Latina Coalition, Silicon Valley. So, I mean, we're having our 25-year anniversary in November, and so I've had Latina women around me for 25 years in the C-suite, in the executive suite, all the way down to, young college students who are doing our AI leadership program. So I've been blessed to have so many women, Latina women specifically, and other women around me to support me in my endeavors.
Congratulations. I think that's really incredible. And also the fact that, I would have never thought about the position of commissioner for the land use, of how that really would be a valuable, resource to have, especially in real estate. And what you learn from that experience is incredible. And then I'm going to tap it off with you, Oralia.
Definitely my mother as well.
Our
My mother,
moms.
yes, has been the most influential role model and leader in my life. Her resilience, compassion, and her strong work ethic, her ability to uplift those around her with empathy and understanding, she's always taught me to face the challenges with optimism and faith. Her strong faith is just unconditional faith, right? So I lead and strive to lead the way she did in her community, right? And hoping to be that voice for my community as well, where we unwaver support and stay true to our mentoring, to our values. She's just that kind of a human that she always sees the good in others. She'll find something to compliment or to say, she's so strong at this, or even me, giving me that belief. Ay, Oralia, tú sí puedes. You've got something.
Yeah.
Estás hecha de otra madera, hija. That when you second guess yourself. And she's always commented on me being able to uplift those that are underprivileged, right? Don't just work with that person because they're hard to get a loan or they're hard to do this. Make sure that you do your utmost to help those that need you the most.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so
I
I
love
think
that.
Leading with empathy, with strength, and with optimism, if I could be half the woman she is as a leader, I would feel very
I
honored.
just know they're all looking at y'all with pride with
Yes.
that full
And
testament.
before I let go, thank you to all of my sisters, my NAHREP sisters like yourselves, that have paved the way and put the foundation for us to be able to lead. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for mentors and for all of you. So I just want to express my most sincere gratitude to all three of you.
Oh, thank you, Aurelia. That's so sweet. We know, again, the impact that you have. We never know, right? The impact that we have until others tell us. So thank you so much for sharing that. All right, we're wrapping up the show. We only have 2 more questions left. And one I really want to, that a lot of our NAHREP chapters ask me all the time, tell me why I should volunteer. What's the most important piece of advice that you can give one that may want to follow in your footsteps, but also, if they haven't listened and heeded to what we've talked about, the connections we've made, the impact that we've had in our own markets, I think then they're not listening very well. But really, what would you let them know about volunteering, whether it's at NAHREP or in another organization? What advice would you give them about, doing it, how to do it, how to get involved? And I'll start with you, Nuria.
I feel like it's I feel like contribution is a huge part of life, and you've got to find a way, something that calls to you to volunteer with or give back to the community with, or whatever group of people that you really connect to, right? And so for me, NAHREP was a way to do that. And I was counting the other day, I'm like, wow, I've been here over 11 years and it's been amazing, right? Because we're all doing this as volunteers, no matter what level, right? And so, meaning like as chapter or national. And so I would say, if whatever you're choosing to contribute to, and this is a great way to contribute back to the community, choose it and go all in on it. Don't say, hey, I'm going to volunteer and then, not follow through with your word. If you say yes, go all in and commit and do it, because there is so many rewards that it just brings back to you and in so many unexpected ways. But don't go in with any expectations of that. Go in because you're serving. Go in with that heart. Go in with that intention to really come in as a person of contribution. And then you'll see that the blessings will come. But I mean, one of the reasons is that the second part is the access to meeting incredible people that you would have never met before. I would say that I have met some of my best friends and so many people that I would have at such high levels, that, I mean, Gino came to our NAHREP Latitude event just last month, and I would never have the opportunity to meet your CEO. And so you get to meet these incredible people that you never know the opportunities that could come from that. I feel like all of us ladies can say we've had many opportunities because we've been in those rooms. And so I would say those are my two big tips. One is because you want to give back to the community and come in, not expecting anything in return. And then two, just connection in the network that you get to build.
Beautiful. Beautifully said. I couldn't have, I can't even add anything to that. How about you, Rebecca?
Well, so I'm a true believer of karma. And what I mean by that is what comes around goes around. So when you serve, like Nuria has spoken of, and your intentions are pure because you really do want to help the community and you want to help people, then all of that comes full circle. So when you pour in and you give, it will come back. And if you're in it for the wrong intentions, then that's probably not going to happen, because people know when you're sincere and you're able to develop those relationships and develop that network across the board. The volunteerism that I've done in a lifetime, really, I want to say probably 40 years plus. I cannot begin to tell you the greatest treasure from that in putting your time, your talent, and your resources is the relationships that you have and that you develop in the community across the country. On the other hand, I can say from just a standpoint of learning, if you didn't have the opportunity to do a baccalaureate or a master's or a doctorate, and you don't have that background, if you get involved with NAHREP and you understand how organizations are built and how they're run, that is schooling.
That's a business degree, baby.
That's a business degree. And learning theoretical in a school and learning hands-on by working with people and being passionate about something. I mean, NAHREP is an excellent organization. It's an excellent business organization across the country. I mean, Gary has just done incredible work here and has created a platform for people to get a bachelor's degree in NAHREP if you want. You can do that.
I like that. That's the Leadership Academy. We're going to tag it.
Right? Like that's the next thing.
That's right.
We're going to get Stanford to offer us bachelor's degrees for all our children.
Our volunteering.
All right.
Last to note. Thank you. I love that.
Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, listen, you need to be passionate about what you're doing, know your purpose and use your gifts. And with that, you're going to find, that the volunteerism isn't really volunteering and you're not giving anything up. What you're doing is you're reaping a reward and a blessing for that which you contribute.
Yes. Beautiful. Oralia?
Absolutely. I believe that the best thing that you can bring to any organization or any volunteer is yourself. you know, your authenticity, your commitment, and your true full heart in. You'll come in wanting to give, and you will see that you will receive the benefit. In giving, you gain a lot. And I would say definitely, if my one advice is come in as yourself, your own authentic you, with your ethnicity, with whatever it is that you bring, full-hearted, and give it all your best shot.
I love that.
I get way, like I said, I think, and all of you guys have mentioned the same thing, but you come in wanting to give, and you learn how to run a business.
You do. You learn
Right?
how to run a company and be
If you don't,
diplomatic, get rid of the drama,
yes,
all the stuff
yes,
that
yes.
let's just get
How
the
to,
job done. No more drama, no more,
yes.
because
How to
believe me, there's a lot
network,
of drama.
how to get everything, how to execute events. I mean,
Yes.
this is a
How to
university.
run a
that
budget,
how to run a
everything.
budget.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
true.
So the growth is huge.
I love it. I love it. All right, we got less than a minute, so give me your final answer. I love books. I love podcasts. I love quotes. So let's wrap it up with Oralia. You're first. Give me your book, podcast, or quote that you recommend or has helped you in your journey.
So for me, I'm aging myself. It's Zig Ziglar, helping others achieve what they want, that it's inevitable for me to get what I want, right? For the right reasons. Books, John Maxwell is somebody that I follow and I read on how he leads. And my ultimate favorite podcast is Gary Acosta's.
Oh, beautiful. Perfect. Nuria?
So a couple of books I love reading, but one is very popular, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I feel like it's such a solid foundation. And then also there's this incredible book for a business called Built to Last. And that is by Jim Collins and one of the L-bound professors at Stanford, Jerry Porras. And so plug in for that because that's where I learned about the book. Incredible book. I do also love my podcast. I listen to Tony Robbins, of course, podcast. Ed Milet is a great leader I follow, and Jay Shetty. Those are usually what is on my list.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Round us out, Rebecca.
Okay, well, I have some favorite authors that I go back to. There's often books that I'll reread again and again. And so I do read Norman Vincent Peale. So I am dating myself there. His books are collectors now. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. I do a lot of PBS, Commonwealth Club, Brenner, academic work. So I'm just all over the place, but my favorite as well is, and I'll be honest, I like to read the Bible. That's one of my favorite books of all time.
I love it. Thank you.
Excited to read. Thank you.
Well, it's so neat because Norman Vincent Peale, I think, is Geno's also. He talks about that. He has Og Mandino is another famous, author that he talks a lot about. So again, you're in great company, Rebecca. I really want to thank all of you for taking the time. I know y'all have very busy schedules to participate in our session. I love this quote, and I think it just matches all of you. True leadership lies in empowering others to rise. And I think that's just what y'all all do. You empower me, you empower others. I love your energy. I love how you're willing to share your experiences. But most of all, I love how approachable each of you are. That is a gift. It is not something that everyone shares. Your approachability, the ability for you to come to you, ask you questions, and that you are open to always your heart is what makes you very special. So thank you for that. And as before we wrap up, I just want to make sure you all mark your calendars for our next episode on November 13th, where we're going to continue to celebrate the achievements of women and stories. It's going to be Asian Pacific Islander Month, so you're not going to want to miss that show. And in the meantime, stay connected with us by following and sharing our page, also our podcast, which you'll find at womenwholeadpodcast.com. Your support really helps us amplify our voices and empower us even more deeply. Until next time, continue to lead boldly, embrace your uniqueness, and inspire those around you. I'm Teresa Palacios Smith, and this has been Women Who Lead.